before I put the slides up.
So you're recording already. Brilliant.
So take Dan and James's files while you can. And Hannah is going to be talking. Hannah, come and join us on the mic. And your video would be lovely. And Hannah's talking about the phonemic chart.
Hello.
So lots of fun to be had in her 10 minutes. Hello.
Hi, everybody.
So remember that it's being recorded, so if you don't want to be recorded, then please leave now and watch.
Okay, thanks very much, Neil. Hi, everybody. Hope everyone is well. I think we need to get started straight away. So I'm going to move on to this slide. First of all, a little poll. I think, Neil, I need you for this. Maybe. Do you have a poll, Neil? Ah, there we go. Okay, so I'd like you all to have a look at this question. The question is, have you used the chart before? And I'd like you to vote either yes or no, maybe with students, maybe in a Delta assignment, maybe in your own alone time when you're having fun on a Friday night, whatever it is. Okay, so it looks like a very clear bias towards yes. Fantastic. Okay, there's another little poll for you to look at, which is... Da-da-da. Now, Lisa, be nice. Of those people that said yes, so all those people that said, yep, they've used the chart before, I'd like you to say how often you use the chart with your students. Okay, numbers coming up here. Okay, so it seems that the people that use it tend to use it fairly often, most classes, or sometimes people have said. Okay, so hopefully in this session I'll show you a few ideas for using it, and for people that haven't used it before or maybe don't use it that often, how to make it seem a little bit less scary and less Russian. And my students always say it looks like Russian, so less foreign perhaps. Okay. Seamless. There we go. Okay, so very quickly, I'd like you to type in the chat box anything you know about the chart already. Maybe you know something. Hi, Lilia. Maybe you know something about the organization, the sounds. Okay, as Sandy said, yeah, it's a map of your mouth. There are 3 groups. Yes, Neil, that's absolutely true. Yeah, fantastic. Some other points coming up. Or a mug. Yep, Natty, good. Okay, Megan, yep, you're all over it. Fantastic. Ah, the A sound in I diphthong. I always think of it as the beginning of the one. Where's the arrow? This one, without the little E attached to it. So take off the F from that and add it to that. Don't know if that makes it clear. Yes, the intonation arrows. Okay, so it seems that we know quite a lot about the chart. That's fantastic. Okay, let's have a look. First of all, this section at the top, what are all of these? Okay, perfect. These are vowels. And so those ones are the vowels. The ones at the bottom are consonants. Fantastic. Okay, these are the consonant sounds. Fantastic. Good. And as Megan pointed out earlier, the consonants, the first 2 rows of the consonants are organized in a specific way. How are they organized? Pairs, yeah. Voiced and unvoiced. Okay, we're actually moving on to the wrong bit of the slide, so never mind. We'll come back to that in just a second. So of this little corner of monophthongs, there is a specific organization going on here. So as we move across this way in the chart, as you can see the arrow, what happens to your mouth? Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Okay, let's have a little look at that. So I need everybody to put their finger on their lips like this. I'm going to assume that you're all doing it. Okay, and we need to move from the long E sound to the long OO sound with our finger on our lips. And this is exactly what Underhill does. I'm glad that Eric has brought up Underhill already. That's fantastic. So we're going to go ew, ew. I'm hoping that everyone is doing this. It's not just me alone in a room doing it. And as some of you said, my students say it goes from smile to kiss. So a nice wide, good Megan, a nice wide mouth to a circular mouth. Okay. Going the other way, if you put your finger on your nose and your thumb on your chin, you can move from the long E sound to the A sound and go yeah, 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 like that. And you can see, I'm glad you're doing it, Neil, that's fantastic. You can see that this moves, the jaw opens up, okay? It is great fun, and it's really, really fun to do with students, even if you feel a bit silly. It's a good laugh. And as we talked about before, we've got the voiced and unvoiced with the 2 rows of consonants at the top there. Okay, so now that we're up to date with all the organization of the chart, a quick mention for my favorite person, Adrian Underhill. As I think Eric suggested, there's a really, really fantastic video which I absolutely recommend you watching. There's a link here. And I basically introduce the Phonemic chart with students in a very similar way to the way he does, with a few more interactive activities, getting them mouthing things at each other, but it's very, very similar and it works really, really well. If you'd like to go into a bit more detail, I highly recommend reading his book, Sound Foundations, and you can see the book just there. Okay, Adrian is great, I agree. Okay, so let's have a look at some activities. Ta-da! So I'm sure that you played Stop the Bus before with your students, but rather than playing it with a word, I'm going to play it with a phonemic sound. So at the top you can see it's phoneme fun. Okay, so the first sound is this one, I, and I'd like you to type in the chat box an item of clothing with the sound I in it. Tie, fantastic, very good. And now let's have a look at an item of food or drink with the sound I. Pie, very good, Dan, lovely. What about a celebrity with I? Like that, I, very good. Kylie, yeah, love a bit of Kylie. And finally, yes, Michael Jackson, a city that has the sound I in it. Very good, Megan. Well, Buenos Aires in Spanish. In English, not so much. Hawaii, the city. Miami, okay. Cairo, fantastic. Okay. So then I'd like you to do a slightly more difficult sound. Let's see if you can think of clothes with the voiced sound. So we need an item of clothing with a sound. Now you're all thinking. Leather, yes, leather shoes. It's a fob. No, the TH. The color heather. Leather trousers. Yes, all manner of leather items. Fantastic. What about an item of food or drink with... No, not thermals, Neil. Sorry.
What? Oh, there's a UFO.
Sure, and we can hear you talking. Pierre is straight on the money there with smoothie. Fantastic. A celebrity with... The Strokes, yeah. Lots of celebrities with... Fantastic. And what about a city with... Yes, classic celeb there, Anya, thanks. Yes, lovely. Okay, so there are some ideas that I came up with earlier. Okay, and in order to make this a bit more meaty rather than just a super fun game, we can also look at work on spelling, the difference between how you spell things in English and the pronunciation. For example, with the I sound, we've got IGH, we've got EYE, the letter I, the letter Y, and AI together. Yes, Megan, another game. In order to all make the I sound. And so this can be a really nice awareness-raising activity. Similarly, the V can raise students' awareness of the difference between the Th and the V, which, as Neil said, thermals would not be appropriate. Okay, so moving on, another game. This time a phonemic board raise, and I've been doing this recently with my proficiency students who have difficulties with these two phonemes, the Z and S, so the voiced and unvoiced versions of the S sound. Because in the Spanish here, these letters have no difference in pronunciation, so it's really, really difficult for them to get a hold of. So I'm going to say a word, and I'd like you to tell me if this word has a Z or S sound at the beginning. Okay. Ideally, I'd like you to write on the board, but since we can't do that, I'd like you to just write it in the chat box, the Z or the S phoneme. Okay. The first word is zoo. Oh, look at that. Fantastic. The next word is soup. Very good. The next one is zoom. Okay, fantastic. And soap. Very good. Okay. And honestly, with my proficiency students, that was really, really difficult. So the key here is to find some phonemes that the students have real difficulty with and have lots of fun with that. Okay. Moving on. I would like to recommend Phoneme Bingo, Phoneme Battleships, and a linking maze, all of which come from this fantastic book, Pronunciation Games. And again, it's a really, really nice way of getting students a bit more familiar and a bit more comfortable with the phonemes, which sometimes they see as a bit scary and a bit intimidating. And just by playing all these games, which are fun and light, a really nice way to get them feeling a bit more comfortable. So I really, really recommend this book. Okay, I'm sure lots and lots of you have it in your schools. Okay, moving on, a creation, an adaptation of something that Pierre, the person with the smoothie answer, recommended to me. And for this, you need Post-it notes. You need something inflatable for whacking, so you can whack people, but not cause them any injury. And you need at least 4 students. Okay. Yes, Prawn Journey is also good as well, Neil. So that book is fantastic. And these are the instructions. I've actually got a handout. I don't know if Neil has it available to send, and I put these instructions on the handout, so because they're a bit meaty, really. So the students need to choose a phoneme, ideally one that they know and feel comfortable with, and they have to write the phoneme on a post-it note and stick that to their forehead, so they look really, really cool. Then the students stand in a circle, and one person, who is the whacker, is standing in the middle of the circle holding the whacking implement. At IH Buenos Aires, we have a fantastic inflatable microphone, which you'll see a photo of in a moment. So one person who cannot be whacked at the beginning starts by saying a word that includes one of the phonemes on the post-its in their circle. So if someone has I on their head, they might say pie. And the person in the middle has to whack the person who has I on their head before the person with I says a different word. So if the person who has I manages to say hair, then they don't get, then they're okay. But if they don't think of a word before the person whacks them, then unfortunately they become the whacker, and it is unbelievably crazy in the classroom. It's really, really fun. Let's have a look at some of our fantastic teachers doing it at IH Buenos Aires in our workshop we did here. So you can see that Hannah over here is extremely excited at the prospect of having oi on her head, her favorite phoneme, I believe. We've got the phoneme, which is stuck to Kim's head there. We've got our glamorous whacker Isabel, and she's holding the excellent whacking implement. You really are, Megan. It's, you know, things have changed. It's incredible. And so we've got our whacker phoneme game there. I really, really could recommend it. It's really silly. Moving on. One final thing is that at school I've been using these vocabulary cards, which I made a template. It is serious fun. I made a template and I put that on the handout as well, so you can print it off and use it straight away. And so these are the vocabulary cards I've been using with my students. What do you think goes at the top of the vocabulary card? It is, Paddy. That's exactly what it is. Glorious chaos. The word. Okay, so the word goes at the top. And then in that lovely little space there, what do you think goes with prawn? The phonemes, exactly. Da da da. And so you can see here some that my darling students have created all by themselves, and these are from my teenagers who've been using these cards. And the reason I really like these cards is that in order to complete them, they are thinking about the word first to write the word down, then they're thinking about it again when they're thinking about the part of speech, then again they're really getting to grips with it when they're looking at the pronunciation. Then they're thinking about the meaning, and again in the example sentence. And the example sentence really enables me to see whether they've understood that word or not. And when the nicest bit is when they're thinking about the pronunciation, they're repeating that word to themselves over and over and over again, just sitting there saying, and so they're really kind of drilling themselves, and hopefully that will help them to remember the word in question. As it says here, deeper cognitive processing aids retention. So the more they think about it, the more likely they are to remember these words. Okay? And with that, these vocabulary cards, we can play the incredibly fun phoneme back to the boards, or some of you might know it as hot seat. And so instead of writing the word on the board, we write the phonemic script, and I'm going to have a go now. So I'm going to put the phonemic script of a word onto this board here, and rather than saying what the word is, I want you to give me a definition that you could use in order to get the person sitting in the hot seat to guess the word in question. And the first word is this. Very good, Megan. You're sitting on it, fantastic. And so by saying all these fantastic clues, the student would hopefully get to the answer chair. Very good. Okay, obviously we don't need to say the word chair because we're trying to get them to guess that. Okay, yes, Anya. Okay, another one, slightly more tricky. I'm going to see which approach you take with this. It is really exciting, Anya, I understand. Okay, yeah, so either, as you can see here, you can take the literal meaning, what you eat on your birthday, or you can take the figurative meaning, something that's really easy. And of course, the fantastic students, as they remember them so well, will then be able to say, a piece of cake, and it will be very exciting, okay? So all of those vocabulary cards are on the handout, lots of recommended reading on the handout, and that leaves me to say, thanks very much. Thank you very much for your participation. If you've got any questions, any comments, there's my email address, and I'll be hanging around for a little while, so you can email me or ask me any